And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, we are back. It is another episode of the Weighing In podcast where my man Josh Thompson and I are going to talk about all of the fights that took place this weekend. And man, there was a plethora of those. We had Bellator, we had the PFL from Wales, and we had the UFC from San Diego. Some really good fights. There was some outstanding fights in all of them. Lot to talk about. How you feeling, my brother?
Oh, I'm still recovering a little bit from the vacation in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. People, if you guys haven't been to Sioux Falls, it's a cute little town, man, but it's really grown in the last 10, 12 years since I've been going there, and it's a fantastic town and good people there. It's great to be there, man. I love going there and having fun, especially when the fights are there. You get to be around all the fighters that are in town for the fights. You get to see a lot of old faces. Ran into Robbie Lawler, who's one of my all-time favorite fighters, as well as people. And I ran into my old manager, who's one of my best friends, Bob Cook, and saw him. I haven't seen him in a long time, and so he's been living in Puerto Rico now for the last, I don't know, 2 years, year and a half, back and forth, but mainly in Puerto Rico. So I haven't seen him in a long time, but some big news, some big things coming up for the young, talented fighters that are all making their way into these bigger promotions. Got to meet a lot of young, talented, good wrestlers that were in town for the fights that came down from the University of Minnesota. So that was fun, kids. It's so funny to see. I look at them like,
you're so young.
Can't be older than like 15,
I
16
know, dude.
years old.
I'm standing there looking at these guys and I'm going, dude, do you realize not only could you be my kid, you would be my kid after I had a kid for 20 years.
That's right.
Horrible.
And so
horrible.
We they have another one. It's called Great Shots. It's not called Top Golf there, but it's a version of Top Golf, and we were all there for the weigh-ins, and a lot of the guys were there. We're having some fun playing some golf, and by the way, you still owe me $5, buddy. Venmo. There you go.
You like
if you all want to know how this bet went,
so much.
Super easy. Let's all be real. I'm good.
Oh, dude, please.
It was easy. Easy work. Easy work.
I hit
Robbie's money.
Come on, I hit a beautiful 7-iron, 180 yards, and it goes over it. Come on. Yeah. It's not supposed to do that. It's cool.
Oh, but you just gotta know how to use your clubs, man.
Obviously.
Gotta know how to use your clubs. It was overcompensating. It's too much blue chew, buddy.
Overcompensation does it to you every time.
Too much blue chew. Oh man. But the fights were good. Not just at Bellator, but the UFC fights were good. The PFL had some shocking results. If you're a fan of Rory McDonald. Overall, though, it was a good weekend. A lot of fights. I mean, because we were in Sioux Falls and we had the fights yesterday. Was it on Friday? We had the fights on Friday, right? And then yesterday we were traveling all day yesterday. So I got home yesterday afternoon around 4:00, and I had to sit and watch all those fights. And I had to scroll back through and watch all the PFL fights. So I was up until about 1:00 trying to get all these fights in. I was like, shit,
a lot of fights,
but it was good. John, I enjoy seeing all the old faces.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was really nice to see, Rich Chow was there as well. Dave Martin, who manages a bunch of guys, was there. Robbie Lawler was there. Logan was there. First time I've ever really hung out with Logan for a long period of time, and super, super good kid. I know he's always been really respectful and nice, but super good kid. Enjoy being around him. Always good. Robbie Lawler is probably. I was telling stories about when I saw him fight Landon Showalter, and I can't remember what casino was at, but this kid with this really curly hair, kind of frizzy curly hair, and it was all poofy, and it was kind of, you could tell it was dyed. It used to be dyed blonde or whatever, and it kind of faded to an orangish colored tint. It was almost highlighted, and then he was Hawaiian. He had the Hawaiian shorts on. It looked Hawaiian. I was like, man, who is this kid? Hitting mitts. And he just went out there and starched this poor kid, Landon Showalter, and put him stiff. And I was like, oh, shit. And then I saw him, the next time I saw him was in Hawaii when we were fighting on the same card called Shogun. where the UFC signed a lot of us. There was Pete Spratt, there was Cabbage, there was Yves Edwards, there was Dwayne Ludwig, myself, Kid Yamamoto. That was when I fought Kid Yamamoto.
Yep.
There was a lot of people on that card. Anyways, but man, he was. After that, I was a fan. After his first fight I ever saw him, I was like, "Who in the hell is this kid?"
I think most people's first time seeing Robbie was when he fought Aaron Riley in the UFC, and it was a great fight. It was a barn burner, and it was when Dana went, "I love this kid," and he put him onto the main fight because of it wasn't the main event, but the main fight for that card was for the best damn sports show period, which was going to put the UFC on, which was unusual at the time because people go back, they don't realize how hard it was to be on TV and all the trouble there was. And Robbie against Steve Berger was the fight. That was the one that they decided to put on there because Robbie was exciting and he did his job against Steve Berger.
Yeah. Yep. No, I remember that. I mean, he had some great fights. You know what I loved about him always? A little bit how I kind of feel the same way about Nick and Nate Diaz is when the media goes, "Oh, hey, how's your wife? How's your kids?" He's like, "Look, I'm not fucking doing this. We're not talking about my family. We're not talking about my, how's your dad? No, that's not what we're doing. We're talking about the fight. Talk about how my camp was. That's it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I like this guy." Because I was sitting there when the media kept trying to ask him. He's like, "Yeah," and he just got up and walked out. He's like, "Look, I'm not doing that. You want to ask about the fight?" Yeah.
Well, because he got in trouble actually because Robbie wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
Robbie doesn't talk a lot, especially unless he knows you, then he'll open up. But Robbie doesn't talk. And so, the media would ask him a question. "So how's your camp?" "Good."
Yeah.
"So, how are you feeling about your opponent?" "Good." And he would just continue. "Good."
Yeah.
"Nah." He wouldn't say no. You go, "Nah."
They sent him to media camp. They sent him to
yes.
They gave him funding to do this.
They gave him the ability to go, "Hey, we need you to talk more for us."
Yeah.
It just wasn't who he was.
That was great.
I love that about him though.
No, he's good, man. He's a good guy. And then just hanging out with him all week and just brings back so many memories, from way back in the day, like UFC 32, 35, 37, and all those things, 37 and a half.
37.5.
I was supposed to be on that card. Yep.
Yeah.
That's how Yves got.
But you weren't.
That's how Yves got in the
You
UFC.
weren't. You weren't though.
I wasn't. Nope.
No. You had to wait all the way to 44.
Yeah. That's how Yves Edwards got in the UFC though.
Yeah.
Yep. Motherfucker. I pull out, he goes in, and then we fight later on. And
how all things happen,
man. I like the guy.
All right, let's talk about what occurred here. Where are we going first?
Let's go Bellator's first because it was Friday. Then we'll do PFL,
because it was Friday,
which is in the morning.
We'll do Friday, then we'll do PFL, and end it with the fantastic UFC that occurred. Look, Bellator 284, the main event was one that you're looking at and saying, two of the best submission guys there were, number one in Bellator and number two in Bellator as far as the number of them. 21 submission wins for Goichi Yamauchi off of 27 wins at the time. But we said this is going to be a stand-up battle for the most part. And for the most part, it was. And the one thing that did surprise me, I said if there was someone that was going to get, go for the takedown, get the takedown, it would be Naaman Gracie because Goichi just didn't do that. Goichi was the one getting the takedowns. He took him down and stuff.
This show's brought to you by MyBookie.ag. Use our promo code WeighingIn. They'll give you a little extra spending cash with your first initial deposit. If you guys took some of our advice last week, you probably would have went with Chito Vera. I had Chito getting this win in the later rounds. It ended up happening exactly how we had planned it out to be. I didn't expect the finish that we got, but if you would have went to MyBookie.ag, capitalize on their odds that they bring you through their gambling site at mybookie.ag using our promo code WeighingIn, using that initial deposit of extra spending cash, you would have been able to lay some money down on Chito Vera, get that win, get those money, and guess what? That little promo code right there, WeighingIn, and use that QR code, will take you right to our site. You go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code WeighingIn.
He really looked fantastic. If you're looking at how he was fighting, his composure. He had Naaman confused when he was going to southpaw. He did a great job of stepping his foot to the outside and laying that left hand straight down the middle. It hit Gracie often. And then the last scenario for the fight, when he went and, he's basically putting his hands down saying, go ahead, use your jab. And he keeps on putting his forehead down into it and then just steps in with the right uppercut. Beautifully timed, beautifully placed, and it just blasted Naaman, and that was the end.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit of an early stoppage, and I'm not mad that they stopped him. I just thought it was a little bit early stoppage. I know he crumbled. He took a shot or two after that, but I saw him start to move and kind of get back to his guard. And guys that are good jiu-jitsu guys, I always wondered if you refs think hey, this guy's known for his grappling, which he is. For him to be able to pull guard, get back to a comfortable position on the bottom, giving him every opportunity. Also, it was the main event. He did get dropped. He crumbled right in his place, which is how you said refs sometimes look on how they fall.
Yep.
I thought it was a tiny bit early, and I'm okay if it was because it was the main event. I'm okay with him taking another shot, or two.
You're okay with it.
I get it. But I mean, like I said, a lot of fighters, they'll tell you, hey, I want to make sure that I'm completely out. Don't stop this thing until I'm done.
Sure.
And him. He's had a rough go as of lately, so he needed all the opportunity and chances he could have gotten to potentially get that win. He's a stud. Naaman Gracie's a stud. He's good on the ground. But I want to remind people that Yamauchi started off his career at 145. Then he went to 55. And then 55 was too hard for him to make also. Now he's at 70. I mean, he's getting bigger, he's getting stronger, and he seems like he's getting a little bit more confident. He's filling out his body, and he feels like this, I think, from what I can see, John, he is really kind of coming to his own in terms of he's good on the feet. He knows he's good on the ground, and he doesn't care where you fight him now. Whereas before, it seemed like he felt like he had to get the fight to the ground, and he had a really awkward style of stand up that kind of forced people to shoot on him. But he doesn't. He fights everywhere now. I don't know if I like that whole put the hands down, block the punch with the forehead.
No.
But it made for fun though. And what was the guy that fought Kyle Crutchmer that did that?
Oh my God, that was
kid from
Cameron
Lakanosh.
What is it?
What Lakanosh?
Lashanoff.
There you go. Yeah.
Cameron Lashanoff.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. He did that, and it was like, and that was the funny part is the judges gave him credit for that in that fight.
Oh my God!
Because Kyle Crutchmer landed 3 or 4 beautiful shots, all hard, and actually hurt him. Mm-hmm. And because he just and came forward and then started throwing, it was like, it was almost like they gave him the whole thing. It's like he got hit.
Yeah,
but
his legs went limp a little bit real quick.
Yeah.
But this fight, I think you're going to see a lot of. He doesn't have to cut. Goichi Yamauchi doesn't have to cut the weight anymore. You're going to see a more improved fighter throughout the fight. From rounds 1 through 3, I think you're going to see an exciting fighter from him, because his style it needs a little bit more time to really set in against people. He is not overly aggressive. He lets the fight develop in front of him, but he's good all the way around. So on the ground, he can control and dominate. On the feet, he's getting a lot better, as we just saw. So where does Naaman go from here, though, John?
That's the real question. You're looking, he's coming off of a couple of losses now. And this is, as you get that one loss, and it can happen. And he had that. He lost to Rory McDonald when they fought in the tournament. He lost a decision. And then he comes back and he has a great fight against John Fitch, where he gets a beautiful inverted heel hook against John, loses to Jason Jackson in a, weird fight. Had the whole thing with the eye. It was all strange. It was almost one that you can just kind of push to the side. Gets a KO against Lemiger, and then he fights Logan Storley. That was a 5-round fight, and good fight. Mm-hmm. But Logan in the end puts it on him, as far as hurts him, especially in the 4th round. And he takes a lot of shots, takes a beating, and then he comes back, and this is the only time in his career, now 2 losses in a row, it's going to get in your mind. And now it's like, oh my God, what do I do to fix this? He just needs to go back to being who he is. The one thing that I am seeing out of Naaman now is he is more of the guy that's willing to be in the stand-up, because he's more confident in his stand-up based upon his training with Coach Cordero. But you got to stick with your roots. And when you can get that takedown, it was like when he fought Ed Ruth. Mm-hmm. He was shooting takedowns on a 3-time NC2A Division I wrestler, and he needed to. You know, that's who you are. Now, I'm not saying, raw dog shoot him all the time, but use your hands to get into those situations. Yeah. And in mixed martial arts, you're going to be able to take down a guy like that. It's not a wrestling match. And so he needs to get back a little bit to that. I was surprised. The one thing I said, I thought that Naaman would shoot for takedowns in this, and only one. And it wasn't even a good attempt. I was surprised that he did that with Goichi. I thought he would have done that more, and I was surprised that Goichi was the guy that was actually getting the takedowns.
Yeah, he's gotten away from his identity, which was jiu-jitsu and his grappling. Yeah. And when he didn't get away from that, when he fought guys like John Fitch, look at the results. And John, I mean, how many people in John's career outside of, I think Josh Berkman was the only guy to ever, no, Paul Harris got him too, in a knee bar. But in terms of who he lost to in that those grappling exchanges, Naaman is a top level jiu-jitsu guy. I would have liked to have seen him utilize his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu a little bit more. Taking down Ed Ruth, 3-time national champ from Penn State. Okay. It said a lot about how when he wants to do something, Naaman Gracie can do it. He's able to take him down. He's able to touch him up on the feet a little bit. He's got to do the same thing against everybody. Because I say, we all know styles make matchups. Yeah. And we just talked about Logan Storley. But Naaman is one of those guys that could be a difficult go for someone who's the interim champ in Logan Storley. His style and the grappling, all those things. Koichi Yamauchi, same thing. But he didn't try to utilize a whole lot of his wrestling against Logan. It was almost like he's like, oh, I can't take him down. No, you probably could have, but you didn't really try a whole lot.
Yeah, didn't try.
When he did try, he tried when he was hurt or when he got hit. Or it's like, you can't try those moments. You got to be the offensive guy. Throw in those striking, get him moving backwards, then shoot off of that position. Don't try and be a defensive wrestler against someone who is a top dog like in Logan Storley. Yeah. So it makes to see what they're going to do with him, because I know that they like him. I know we all know Bellator loves Naaman. He's a great guy. He brings the action. He's been involved with a bunch of good fights. He doesn't turn fights down. He wants to fight everybody. Yep. And that's what you want from your top level guys, never saying no to the top level guys. And that's what he does. So, but Goichi Yamauchi now he just inserted himself like a adrenaline shot right into this 170-pound division. That was something that just shot him right up into that mix. So you've got Amosov, who is now coming back from Ukraine, who is back training. I don't know how soon he'll be ready to fight, but then you've got Logan Storley, who's the interim champion, and you've got Jason Jackson, who's waiting in the wings right now, to see if he's going to end up getting a shot at the interim title or the main title. So there's a little bit of a traffic jam at the top. Where do you see Yamauchi in the mix in here?
Exactly where you just started talking. I see him jumping way up there. And Jason Jackson is the guy that's kind of stuck in a position. He doesn't have a fight. Let's take a look, and you say, if you got Amosov has got to fight Storley, you got Page there, but Page is doing the bare knuckle thing right now. And so that's kind of off the plate. Douglas Lima does not belong at number 4 anymore. Jason Jackson is a guy that he doesn't really have a fight. So when you have someone like Yamauchi coming in here, that's not a bad take on putting Jason Jackson and Goichi Yamauchi together, and that'll give you, hey, this is the next guy in line. So I think Goichi just jumped a whole lot of people in this, weight class with that win against Gracie.
Yeah, I want, now that I'm looking at this, I'd like to see Korshkov versus Yamauchi.
Korshkov, huh?
Yes, Korshkov's ranked number 6 right now, and I know that Yamauchi needs to make his run, but this was his first fight at 170.
Yeah, so but he beat the guy that's above.
I get it.
Korshkov.
I mean, because you have a traffic jam there. I don't know what's going on with MVP. MVP is supposed to do the bare knuckle thing. Yeah. So if that happens, then that's fine. He'll be out for a little bit longer. Who knows how his hands will hold up during that as well. Jason Jackson sitting in the loom. Douglas Lima, who knows what's going to happen with him. So if he slides down, Naaman's going to slide down. And then you've got Korshkov and you got Goichi right there, probably at 4 and 5, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which is where you should have, because Douglas doesn't deserve to be above Korshkov anymore. Neither does Naaman. So you've got Korshkov and now Goichi in that mix. So they'll probably be 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 together. Yep. I'd like to see that fight.
Yep.
That'd be a good fight. All right, let's talk about what was the next fight on there?
It was a no contest. There's nothing to talk about. Steve Mowry ended up getting a finger in his eye. You know, you never know when someone gets poked in the eye. Sometimes you'll see a poke, and I mean, the guy's finger goes 2 digits deep into the guy's eye socket, and the guy's able to continue. And then there's times when they just get a touch, and it scratches the cornea, and then you have a hard time opening your eye. And you know, it happens. You know, it happens in the sport. Mowry wasn't able to continue, and it goes to a no contest. Like it didn't happen. So I think that's enough with it. We got Ilima-Lei Macfarlane came back against Bruna Ellen. It was a good competitive fight. It had its moments. The third round when Bruna Ellen jumped to a guillotine, it was tight. Yeah. I think that they both had won a round, so it was the deciding round going into it. That guillotine was a tight guillotine. Ilima-Lei did all the right things to try to alleviate the pressure of it and switched it into not quite the Von Flue that we normally see. It was more shoulder pressure because she was not, you know, off to the side, but used the Von Flue technique in creating pressure on Bruna, where Bruna finally had to release the hold. And so now it was Ilima-Lei that was being the offensive fighter in there. You know, I heard people, you know, both, you know, thinking that Ilima-Lei won, thinking that Bruna won. It was a very close fight. I give Ilima-Lei a lot of credit. She came out and she was slugging in a way that showed that, you know what, she was in there to try to win the fight and try to win it impressively. She was throwing down with, you know, Bruna in a way that Bruna has got the advantage with the hands, I thought, going in. But in the end, Ilima-Lei Macfarlane comes back, gets off of the snide, as we would say, because she was on a 2-fight losing streak there, and gets that win against Bruna Ellen.
When fighters start talking about retirement and they start talking about their injuries, you start wondering what they're doing it for, because you know that in the back of their mind they're thinking 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know, they're kind of already out the door. And I wanted to see how she would react to this fight. Bruna Ellen, to me, was a better version of Justine Kish, is a better fighter than Justine Kish, but she's also smaller than Justine Kish. So Bruna Ellen's got faster feet, good lateral movement, got faster hands, and faster kicks.
Not quite physically as strong.
Not quite physically as strong. And that to me played out to be the difference, though, in this fight. I thought Ilima-Lei, she had a hard time with Kish because Kish seemed to be strong. Bruna Ellen's not a big girl. You know, she's a little bit small for the weight class, but she's a stud. She's a good, really good fighter. Yeah. But I thought the speed would be too much of a factor for Ilima-Lei. And given that she's 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or at least that's the impression I got with all of her interviews leading up to this fight, I didn't expect to see Ilima-Lei fight at a good pace and fight aggressively, which she proved me wrong. She fought a very good fight. Yep. Like you said, it was a very close fight. Could have went either way. It depends on how you want to judge it. I'm not going to insert myself and say how I'm going to judge this fight. So, but it was a good fight. And like you said, at the end, you'd like to see one person go for broke. You know, Bruna Ellen's not known for her submissions. She's got decent submissions, but she's not known for them. And for it to be that tight on someone like Ilima-Lei, who probably was taking her submission game for granted, goes, "Oh, I'll be fine. And then that thing was on tight. Yeah. There was moments where the camera zoomed in on the face, and you're like, "Oh, this is no joke. She's in trouble. Oh yeah, she's in a lot of trouble." Yep. And so then she, like you said, wiggled out, was able to mount an offense of her own. So it really just came down to how the judges viewed it towards the end. But I thought it was a very good fight. Yeah. Good fight for Ilima-Lei to get back on track.
Absolutely. You know, it was, you got to give it to her because, we're going to talk about this later with, Nina Nunez putting down her gloves and saying, I'm done. I'm retiring because I want babies. Well, Ilima-Lei has talked about, she wants to have some babies, and that's okay. That's part of what life is about, and having a family and stuff. So I totally understand it, but I really appreciate the effort and the way she went about this fight. Proved a lot of us wrong that we're saying, I don't think she's 100% in. She's still in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we've had some females that have done that as of recently, like Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's done the same thing. Like, I want to have a family. Yeah. She's not talking about she wants to have kids, but she wants to be at least probably get married, have kids, later on in the line, start focusing on that now, step away from the fight game. Same thing for a lot of the females that we've been talking to. They said like you hit a certain time when how much do you want to have kids and how much do you want to continue to live your dream? You know, both of them are a dream. Just one is in one direction because you can't ever come back and do this. The other one,
you can.
Sure, it can happen later. Yeah, you can.
Ask Misha Tate.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, but she had them when she was younger. When I think with Alima, how old is she? 34?
I don't think she's that old.
I mean, I'm looking in.
32.
I think in that era, 33, 32. Okay, so yeah, she still has time. She still has time. I think when you get into that 35, 36,
yeah,
that's when they start to make worrying. They start worrying about having that choice. Yeah. So
understandable.
But who am I? I'm a male. I don't understand that shit.
We had Gohan Saracham against Syed Soma. It was a good fight. I thought it came down to the first round, and I think the judges, I'm going to just put it out there, Syed Soma got knocked down, but he was off balance. He was never hurt. And I think they looked at that and said that was the difference maker in that round. Gave it to Saracham. I think Soma came back, won the second round. Saracham won the third round, so it all goes back to that first round. And I really look, it was a split decision. I know Soma, was upset with the fact, but when you have these close fights, don't be upset. You got to go after your opponent. And, Saracham had his moments where he was landing great shots. Soma had his moments. When it's a close fight like that, it can go either way.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Like when it goes back to the old days when Dana would say, do you want to be a fucking fighter? Like, don't leave this shit up to the judges. Burt Watson works for Bellator now. He's in the back and he gives his speech every single time. And he's made it slightly different than the one that he used to give to the UFC guys, but it's very similar in terms of, guys, you're going to be super upset, fucking very disappointed when that judge has to read off the cards. Don't allow it to go there. Lay it all out there. I see a lot of fighters sometimes when the round's close and it's the third round and then you hear the clack, clack, and they just step back and circle away. No, you have 10 seconds to still win this fight. Like, let it hang out. I mean, what do you have to lose? An L is an L. It doesn't matter whether you got knocked out or you went to a decision. It's still an L next to your name. So, in this situation, Syed Soma is known to be a slow starter. He's known, he just, because he's a lighter, he's a lighter heavyweight. He's got thick legs and ass. I mean, but he's a smaller in stature, I guess I should say heavyweight. So he's got great cardio. So he tends to start slow and he drags the fight out into that midway through the second round. And then he starts peppering you with leg kicks. Then he starts letting the hands go. Then he starts pushing you around a little bit. And if he can get a takedown or get on top, he'll do that. But he starts touching you up and he's very good with his lateral movement and landing off of that movement. He does a great job. For heavyweights, it's hard to deal with. Saracham, though, is really good. Long jab, good combinations, trains with Gegard. And he has the ability to stick and move, and he rolls off of his punches and lands very well. I gave Saracham the fight, but it doesn't really, like you said, when it's this close, I don't really care. You can't be mad at the judges because you left it up in their hands in these type of situations.
That's exactly it. Aaron,
because we've got to get away from, John, fighters, people at home watching fights, media. We've got to get away from saying, oh, it was a robbery. No, it wasn't a robbery. Let's get away. And I'm not saying anyone's saying this, but I'm saying you get too comfortable just throwing that word out there all the time because it was a close fight and you thought somebody should have won. Yeah, exactly. And so it's no different than I'm getting sick and tired of hearing people say the GOAT. Oh, it's the GOAT. No, stop. Jeez, it's getting out of control.
Crazy.
Or the word legend. No. You're not a legend. No. You're good. You're a good fighter. Okay. That's it. You're not a legend though. Anyways, next.
All right. We had Aaron Jeffrey taking on Austin Vanderford. Austin coming back off of his first loss ever against Gegard Mousasi. This was Aaron Jeffrey taking this fight on 8 days' notice. And I said, when it happened, I said, that's a lot tougher fight for Austin Vanderford than what he was scheduled to take on. Aaron Jeffrey is good everywhere. He's a good defensive wrestler. He's a good offensive wrestler, even though he doesn't come from any kind of wrestling background. He's got good hands. He's tough as hell. He's a grinder. He doesn't stop. And he was able to hurt Austin early in the fight and then ended up putting him down again. Austin wasn't able to respond. Right now, you got to be wondering what's going through Austin Vanderford's mind as far as confidence-wise. A guy that was 11-0, full of confidence, believing in himself. Where is he at this point?
John, you take your first loss, but I think what's made it even more difficult, to be honest, is his number one training partner and friend, Johnny Eblen, comes back in the very next fight, and beats Gegard Mousasi the way that he beat him. That to him is now, where is he mentally? Like, this is my number one training partner. I just lost, and now you came in and won, and I know how I do with you. I know, where does that put you mentally? Where does that put you? That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot. There's a lot going through his mind. I've just got my first loss. How do I deal with that? Now he's lost twice. He had never lost ever in his career. And now he's got 2 in a row. He's thinking, shit, what am I going to do? Like, how do I fix this problem? And as far as Jeffries go, he fought good, very, like you said, very good defensive wrestler. But what I really liked was that even though he was throwing his good combinations, he was coming right around the edge of Austin's gloves and was landing those shots right at the ear, right behind the ear, right at the ear.
Both shots.
Nicely
Both
done.
shots.
You know who
hit him. Both in the same spot. Both right hands, both right behind the ear. Well placed, accurate, well done.
2 guys in the early parts of MMA were the ones that started doing that. Can you name them?
Wow, that's a good question. Started doing it?
Started to do, who did the loopy punches around the ears and around the guard that.
Fedor used to do that looping shot around. So there's one.
Yes, that's one.
And then the other one that I would say would be Chuck.
No. Rich Franklin did.
Oh, Rich?
Yeah, because if you watch, Chuck did it. I get what you're saying. Yeah, and actually, to be honest, I just completely forgot about the Chuck
was
situation.
Before Rich.
Because Chuck would go straight.
Oh, he would go
first,
straight,
though.
but he would definitely do that big loop around. He loved that overhand right where he would duck down and loop it over.
Yeah, that's more of an overhand right. With Rich, though, he would go around your gloves on purpose, in that style. And that's how Fedor did it too with his ground and pound, how he would fake like he was throwing the straight punch when he was on top, but he'd come around the side of your glove and hit you on the side of your ear. Those are the 2 guys that come to my head right away. And Rich was that guy, because when he fought guys, they would just put their hands up straight and he would just work his way right around to the ear. But very similar situation with Jeffries. He caught, like you said, twice, 2 times, and very nicely placed. And not to say that it was luck. It looked like it was not luck.
That was accurate. Done. It was thought of, and he did it on purpose.
And if you watch how Austin Vanderford's previous fights were, and every time he would get hit, he would just normally just cover up right in the front. So you could tell it was planned. He knew that he had to go around the guard. So why just punch at the gloves when I can go around the guard? Nicely done. Great performance by him. For somebody who only took the fight on 8 days notice, John, he looked ripped, man, coming in. I saw him at the weigh-ins. I was like, this guy's been training. It's not like he hasn't been training.
I talked to him about that. I said, coming in, I said, you're coming off of a recent fight. How was it? And he goes, look, I'm just going to be honest. He goes, I'm boring. He goes, all I do is train. He goes, I have a degree in nutrition and science. He goes, and so I'm kind of a nerd about my nutrition and what I do to work out. He goes, so I stay in shape. He goes, so it's no big thing for me to take the fight. I go, okay. So it kind of said it all.
Well, I mean, is he married? I mean, with
a mullet like that,
I wouldn't think any.
Dude, the mullet has definitely made a comeback.
He's just out there slanging dick.
We need to get Roy Nelson back out here, man.
Oh, jeez, he's just out there slanging dick. He is. He's got hit the bluechew.com and use our promo code. So great. I love it. Jeez. Business in the front, party in the back, buddy. Business in the front, party in the back. Next fight.
Oh, dude, you got a debut for Marcus Breno going against a very tough individual that we know of, and Josh Hill, a guy that's had a hell of a career. And Marcus Breno, very young, talented. We knew he had power. He's got a good ground game. He's got power in his hands, but his stand-up has gotten way smoother. It's more technical. He fucking went to the body, Josh, at times. His left hook to the body ate Josh Hill up. You want to talk about what a body shot will do to someone? Josh Hill was in shape, and you could see it was causing him to have to regroup, get a breath. It was just devastating to him overall. Josh Hill, tough as hell, came out. He actually won the 3rd round. because Breno kind of slowed it down a little bit. But what a win by Marcos Breno, and coming out and proving, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, John, I wasn't working the show, but I was there. We were all up on the top deck and watching and we weren't really kind of just drinking.
You were drinking?
Not really watching the fights. No. I just was.
Yeah, you were watching everyone else.
Thing. You know me. I drink
you're
a lot of
watching
soda.
I got it.
and so we. All I know is we started hearing and the crowd started going and so everyone turned, started paying attention. It was the first probably minute and a half, and I was like, this freaking fight is insane because I wasn't working the fight. I was like, okay, I'd heard of Marcos Breno. I never had really did a lot of research on him. But as I'm watching him, like, this kid is good. This kid is really good. And he's fighting Josh Hill. He's pushing Josh Hill around. He's touching him with combinations. He was making it look easy. And it was just one of those where all of a sudden now in my mind, I've got this kid, whoever he is, I got to go home, look him up, check him out, see what he has, look up his old fights. Because these are the guys that you bring into a promotion to help put a shot of adrenaline into your weight class. And that's kind of where we're at right now. This is one of those, and this weight class is one of the best weight classes in the world, across the board in almost every promotion. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see where he goes in the future. But for him to come in and have to fight Josh Hill, and Josh Hill being the guy that he is. Josh Hill's the guy, like you said, tough as nails, will always be there in the third round. And he showed that he'll be there in the third round in this fight. And he's someone who can take shots, deliver shots, can wrestle. He's very well-rounded. And Breno just was able to beat him to the punch and a lot of things and mix up the combinations that really kept Josh Hill.
Yeah, I'm being honest. Going into this, I was like, look, I've seen Breno fight. He's good, but I don't think that he's ready for Josh Hill at this point. I think Josh is just too experienced of a fighter, too much veteran knowledge, and he's going to end up causing him problems. Did not happen, man. Breno's speed, just his fluidity in the fight was just incredible. Hats off to him. Great win.
Mm-hmm. What other fights on here?
The only one I'm going to Sullivan Culley looked fantastic, but he should. The kid's going to be really an outstanding light heavyweight. He's got speed, he's got power, he's got the full package. Pat Downey this was his debut fight in MMA, debut fight in Bellator. Everyone's been waiting for Pat. Unbelievable wrestler throughout his career at Iowa State. Had some issues with fighting without getting paid, and has come in is now getting paid, and he made quick work of Nelson. But let's put it. This has to be said. This is a guy coming from that wrestling background, but Pat Downey has been doing submission grappling now. He's been working out with, he's working out with Cyborg. That's his coach right now. Him and what's that? Pena. Well, he's got Louis Pena, but he's also got goddamn, I'm trying to think of the other one. I can't remember. I'm losing my mind. But anyways, he's a submission grappler, and he's been going into big time submission grappling tournaments. So he's not going to take the fight and be just the normal wrestler that mauls you. He's going after the submissions, and he did that right away. And that's why, what was it, 36 seconds? Look out. And I loved his video. I did the interview with him, and I'm like, I've got to, he says this thing, and he tries to grab the mic, which is always funny because the guys are like, they're going to get the mic from him. It's like, that ain't going to happen. But, he says, the whole thing, he says, to all these middleweight, I'm coming, motherfuckers. And I was like, I've got to end it on that. It's perfect. I don't want to ask him another question. Yeah. I don't want to say anything else. So, I leave with it, but great job. He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah. Guys like him, right? There's a big ceiling for him. We all know that he can get there, but which Pat Downey are we going to get? Are we going to get the focus one or the one that was getting in fights in school?
The out of control.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. If you're a promotion, you're a little nervous, but you also know that the ceiling is high, and you know that there's a lot of potential there to be made, and exciting fights for him to have. So I think the promotion is extremely excited about having him. It's just a matter of hopefully we can keep him focused and have some great fights, because there's a lot of guys for him to fight that we're looking forward to. So, all right, well, that's going to wrap up our Bellator talk, and we're going to move right into PFL. Let's go.
Talk to me, Goose.
We've sat up here several times and talked about how much we both really, really like Rory McDonald. As a person, I've always liked him as a fighter since he's fought Carlos Condit way back in the day when he made his splash onto the scene. I've always loved him as a fighter. Everyone used to give him a hard time because he had the Canadian Psycho look to him, almost like American Psycho look to him, but he fights his ass off. And you can never take anything away from him, but he's taken so much damage in his career. I believe he's got what do they call it? Like a fiberglass nose. He's got one of those fake bridges or whatever from his Robbie Lawler fight. He's got a bunch of other little issues that have happened to him in the past with some of his action fights, some of his fights that he's had. I don't know, John. I think I don't want to tell any fighter when it's time for them to hang it up, because he can still get wins. He can. But are you doing it for just the money? Are you doing it to get in? Like if you're losing in the finals, then I'm like, but you're not losing in the finals. You're losing in the quarters. Sometimes you're struggling to even get into this thing.
Dave, pull up Rory's record, because I want you to see in PFL where he's at now. Okay, stop right there. Take a look at what we have. He's got a win against Curtis Millender. Okay, Millender. And that was, let's be honest, when you're the PFL, and we talk about this all the time when you're a fighter, and this is, the Sugar Sean O'Malley thing. And, this is when you are that fighter and you're not making a lot of money. I understand why you don't want to fight a top level guy, but when you are the fighter that's making a lot of money, you're going to have to. But PFL gave him, Curtis, that's a gift. He got a win. Then he fought T-Bow. He loses to Ray Cooper. He beats Brett Cooper. Again, a guy, I love Brett Cooper, longtime veteran, but not, someone that you look at. Out of the 6 fights that he's had, and I'm sure that's the end of his contract, he's 2-4. There's a reason for it, Josh. Mm-hmm. And it's not against all top level guys that you say that guy's a killer. He'd be good anywhere. Mm-mm. It's just a different time. And it's, you can only crash that truck so many times. And when you see a fighter like Rory start to fight a different style, he's fighting a different style now. And it's not the style that made him who he was, because now he knows, I don't want to get hurt. And when you don't want to get hurt going into the fight, it's going to make you fight a different way. And it's not the Rory McDonald that we've become accustomed to. I love the guy. I don't want to see him go anywhere. I think he's a wonderful human being. I think he's been an incredible fighter, but are you going to pay him all that money to fight guys that you're going to feed him just so he can get a win?
Here's the thing. I think, John,
not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. But I think how much of it is motivation as well. He seems like he's self-motivated almost always when you talk to him. Mm-hmm. But I think you have to really wonder about fighters that, are you really motivated though? Like certain fighters, like I'll give you an example. When I was to fight like Bronzoulis, and I think Bronzoulis was a good fighter, but I didn't have a lot of respect for. I had respect for him, but I wasn't concerned about what.
You have respect for him, not for his talent.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way he beats me. Like there's certain things you take that kind of for granted. I think Roy doesn't strike me as a person who does that, but in the back of your mind, you're like, I've fought all the best guys in the world already. These guys are not on my level. And then things like this happen. What happened with him with Taylor? He gets clipped and it's done. It's over. And so it's.
You can say he got clipped. How is he doing in that fight up to that point?
Yeah, he was struggling.
Yeah,
the speed's not there.
That's the exact word I would have used. I said, it's not that he was, you want to say losing. Yeah, at that point, he's losing as far as the round, but it's, but he's struggling. And this is not a guy that he would have struggled with in the past.
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand what you're saying. I looked at it like when he fought Curtis Millender, he got the submission, put him 6 points. He was already in the playoffs. So then how does he prepare? Like Gleason T-Bow, just don't take any damage. And he still lost that fight. But it was one of those like, okay, I'm already in the playoffs. Does that format cause for things like that. That's almost like I said, open scoring. If you already know you're in,
got it down.
If you already know you're in the playoffs, then you end up with fights like that where, okay, then he gets there. Now he's losing to Gleason Tebow, and he gets in and fights Ray Cooper, which, you know, Ray Cooper's a stud. He's got heavy hands, you know, he's got to fight smart against Ray Cooper. Yeah. Then you get in the next round, you go to the next, into the following year, Brett Cooper's your opening fight. He gets a submission. Now he's back in. He's back in the playoffs. He doesn't need to fight what's his name? Sabadu C or whatever it is. He doesn't have to fight. He doesn't have to finish him. He doesn't have to knock him out. He doesn't have to do any of those things. He can just get through and he's still in. And then he goes and he has this performance. It's almost like I did my part in the opening round.
This isn't even the guy he was supposed to fight.
Yeah, that's true as well.
The guy he was supposed to fight, that dude's good too. You know, he couldn't get a visa to get into Great Britain, but man, you know, I'm just being honest when I look at it. It's like I don't want to see him out there just taking L's for the paycheck. He's been a great fighter. He's taken a lot of damage, like you said. You know, it's not only his nose; his leg is screwed up from the Doug Lima fight. You know, he's got, you know, the just all these issues, and it's like there comes a point, and he's still young. I'm not taking anything away age wise. He's still a young fighter, 33 years old or so. It should be in the prime, but when you've taken some of the, you know, fights that he's had and the damage that he's taken in those fights, it's taken a toll.
Yeah, no, I agree. Next, Dave.
Next fight.
Yes, Dave.
That's right. I couldn't find my tab there.
Ante Daliha versus Renan Ferreira. Ante came out there, knew I'm going to take you to the ground and I'm going to punch you until you can't stop what I'm doing. That's what he did. You know, he's in looking against Ferreira, super tall, big reach. Yeah. Probably one of the biggest reaches I think that there is in the sport of MMA. He's like an 85-inch reach or 86-inch, just crazy.
What's John Jones, 84, right?
84, which is amazing. But when you're on your back, the reach doesn't matter. Yeah. And Ante put him there and just punched him to the point where Mark Goddard said, "That's enough. You know, you're just hiding now, becoming a punching bag." And some of those shots got through his defense. And you could see he was hurt, and then he just, you know, turtled up. Nothing for him to do. Great win for Dalia.
Yep.
You know, coming from Croatia, you know, he had his hero in Mirko Krokop there. That was nice to see. And you could see the emotion in that kind of win. That puts him in the finals.
I look at the next fight though against Scheffel and Adams. Scheffel to me is he's a good fighter.
Yes, he is. He's fighting way better than he was in the past.
Fast hands, good lateral movement, was good at keeping his back off, got taken down, never settled on bottom, popped right back up, tried to do that as much as he possibly could. Adams is a big person. Very big person.
Big human being.
When he was on top, I'm like, man, how is this guy going to get up from the bottle? Scheffel just posted the hand, try to work his way back up. A couple of times he kind of got stuck. He accepted the position a little bit, but I thought he fought a really good fight. He has really fast hands. He was very accurate with his striking. I thought
his fight against Capoloza showed that, you know what, he's a different guy as far as the way he's fighting now, and he had the speed because Capoloza is fast and a great heavyweight fighter. And he was just as fast, if not faster, with his hands in that fight. And that's how he got the win there. And then I watched him in this one. I was like, dude, you're a different guy now. You're fighting so well. You know, he's got confidence. I'm that as a final. That's a great final. Yeah. I do think that Scheffel has the advantage in the speed. I don't think he's as strong as Dalia, but you know, we're going to see what happens. I think Dalia's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, but this is going to be a great matchup.
Next,
Sadabu Side, the guy we were just talking about with the win against Rory McDonald, got the win against Miranda or Leal de Miranda, either way. Yeah. You know, he went out there and did what he was supposed to do. It was a good fight for him. He's got a lot on the line with that. Sometimes he does that whole thing where he takes a lot of big chances and he does a lot of fancy moves. Not so much in this one. No. I think someone told him, nope, let's just go straight. We can beat this guy straight ahead. and that's what he did.
Yeah, his jab was very important in this fight, and then he had the long range kicking as well. He is somebody who he's got all the talent. He's good at keeping his back off the fence, even though he's there against the fence. He's good at not letting them hold him against the fence. He's got that long ranginess. So when guys get in on the double leg, he's got a very wide stance, able to defend the takedowns from there. He's got to work on taking more control of the center of the cage now. And
he gets pushed back too much.
Yeah, not allowing people to do that to him. Yeah. He's with that type of reach and range and speed that he has, so fast with that head kick. He threw that head kick up there 3 or 4 times. I was like, no setup, nothing. It still got there, almost went through. So it was very nice to see him. He's got to get after it a little bit more. Take the center of the cage, pop the jab, stay a little bit busier. Don't let someone bully you around or push you around and put your back to the fence to where you're having to worry about defending a takedown. So he is this. I think someone said this is his 4th time in the finals. So I'm not sure, but anyways,
really?
Yes, and maybe this is his 4th time in the tournament. But they're saying 4 times the charm. So they said, let's see if 4 times the charm. Okay. Anyways, look, he's got a lot of skill. He's good with the feet, but good feet with the hands. I don't know. We'll see how it all works out, though.
I know he wasn't in the finals last year. It was Ray Cooper against Magomed Karamov.
Yeah, Karamov. There you go. Not sure. All right. Any other fights on here, John? You want to talk about?
I want to give a shout out to Lee Chadwick. He went in there and did his we talked about. We said, look, guy's strong. He's durable. He knows how to fight, and he just keeps on coming. He got a unanimous decision win. So congratulations to Lee Chadwick there.
Lee Chadwick is he's good in terms of he's good at pushing the pace. He's good at getting on. He kind of lacks in cardio, but in this situation, he was the one that was pushing the action.
Yep.
Just because you can walk forward doesn't mean that you're in shape. And so some of his fights in the past, either he was cutting too much weight and would slow down by the 3rd round, extremely slow down and just start taking shots, but he was still coming forward. In this fight, he was the one laying it all out there. He was the one letting the combinations go. He was the one pushing the action, at the end of that 2nd and that 3rd round. Good fight by him. Yeah. Will Fleury, also another guy that's fought a long time ago in Bellator, and he's had some action-packed fights. One of my fights one of the first fights I ever called of his, he had fought Norvenyi, and that was a nasty fight. But the wrestler from
Norbert Norvenyi,
he had fought him. Yep,
really?
Norvenyi. Yep, Norvenyi, very one-sided. I called that fight. It was in Ireland. Yeah, it was not a good fight.
Who won that?
Norvenyi.
Okay, I was gonna say
Norvenyi's still undefeated.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was going to say.
He's still undefeated.
Just doesn't seem to fight much, but kid's good.
No, he tore his knee. He tore his knee, I think, and then in training, and he hasn't been back since. We need to get him back. He's young. He's only 21, 22 years old. Good
super
fighter.
young.
But Will Fleury, though, coming out with a good win. So, all right, well, hey, that's going to wrap up our PFL talk. Let's jump right into the UFC. John.
What? We said it.
Yeah, I read the comments, guys, and I see the comments. Josh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Josh this, Josh that. Dominic's going to be the way faster fighter. Dominic's going to be the guy in the 4th and 5th round. He's made his career off the 4th and 5th round. Dom has got better cardio and conditioning. Guys, men and women, that are listening to this show, because I know we have a couple women that love the show as well. Look,
we got a listener named Amanda.
We have a listener named Amanda. I want you guys to understand. This is not a dig at Dom Cruz. This is never going to be a dig at Dom. I like Dom as a person. I love him as a fighter. The reason why I brought all this up was you guys are believing that Dom is still 28, 29 years
Dom
old.
Of the past, yeah.
He is not. Now, it was
36.
very evident he was the faster fighter. It was very evident he was the faster fighter. But if you guys go back in the 1st round and in the 2nd round, he was the faster fighter because he was throwing everything behind everything that he had. Everything he threw, it was as hard as he possibly could do it and as fast as he could possibly do it. That is a recipe for someone to slow down later in the fight. And that's exactly what happened. I use him all the time in comparison to Roy Jones Jr. I talked about it on the last show, and you guys all called me crazy. Roy Jones, as he got older, he slowed down as the fight went on. And then that's opened up for your ability to get caught. That's exactly what happened in this fight. The temperatures aren't the only thing that's hot rising this summer. That's right. The episode is brought to you by Blue Chew.
And when you're talking about Blue Chew, if you are a guy out there, it's good to have confidence. It's good to know that, you know what, you are prepared to do battle and do things the way they're supposed to be done. And Blue Chew is something that can help you do that.
It's a unique service online, super easy to get. The ingredients are the active ingredients that Viagra and Cialis use, but in a chewable tablet and at a fraction of the cost.
It's important that you realize it's so simple to sign up for. It will only take you a couple of minutes. You don't have to go to the doctor, and boom, it's going to arrive at your door. You can't ask for anything more.
Go to BlueChew.com. Use our promo code weighing in. The best part, John, is it's all done online. So no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations with a doctor, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. They always say first impressions are important. What about lasting impressions, John? Do you have a problem lasting? I know you're good at making wood, but can you lay the wood? That's the question. Lasting impressions.
There's no problems here at the McCarthy household, baby.
Look, go to Bluetooth.com, use our promo code weighing in. You'll have to pay $5 for your first initial purchase of shipping, but then your first month will be free. Go to Bluetooth.com, use our promo code weighing in.
Chew it and do it.
And Dom, I had Dom, I believe it was a close first round. I know you and I had talked about this off air beforehand. I could see them giving Dom the first round, but Dom also got dropped in the first round. So I don't care how you put it, okay, on not just you, but anybody. It was a 50-50 round on whoever gave it to how the judges gave it to him. Second round, Dom won. Yeah, second round. Yep. And then third round, third round,
Chito Vera started winning.
You have Chito started coming around. Okay. And
fourth round, he was winning.
Yeah, fourth round, he was winning. But my point is that Dom was loading up so much in the first two rounds that it was a recipe for him to slow down in the fourth and fifth. And there was people going, hey, he's known for his cardio. He's known for his movement.
Well,
Yes, he is. He's also getting older. And and you guys haven't watched his last couple fights, he has slowed down in those fights towards the end. He's a talent. There's no doubt that he's one of the best to ever do it, if not the best bantamweight ever.
That's right.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. I'm not taking anything away from him, but we all know that stylistically, his style, you need to make sure that your speed stays. Otherwise, things like this happen. This is how it happens, because one step behind puts your head in a place that it shouldn't have been. The Dom of 28 and 29, his head would have been out of the way by then.
Yeah.
It would have just grazed maybe his nose or his chin or his, forehead, but the toes would have caught it, and he would have got out, and he would have just kept doing what Dom does.
Yeah.
Now, being a little bit older, this style that he has doesn't lay it. It's going to be hard for him to keep laying this thing out the way he's been doing it for the last 10, 15 years because of the style.
I think let's be honest. Dom had he has the passion to stay in the fight game, and he had the target of getting back to that title fight. And you got to say, hey man, I understand why that's where you want to go, and all the power to you. I'm just not sure if at this point in your career, at your age, you're going to be able to reach that with the guys that are in that weight class. Because let's be honest, the UFC's bantamweight is just filled with killers.
Yeah,
there is just a gluttony of just tough, fast, well-skilled people. I looked at it and, did I think Dom was going to get back to the championship? No, I didn't. And that's just my opinion. Didn't mean I was right, but it was. Even when he fought TJ Dillashaw, when he came back, he won those early rounds, and then TJ won the later rounds, and TJ was coming on, and Dom he's getting tired because he puts a lot of energy out in the fight. You can only run so far before you have to slow that pace down, and his pace inside the cage is going to slow down a little bit, and that's when he becomes more susceptible to being hit. I looked at this fight with Chito, and I thought, On the ground, Chito is a much more dangerous fighter than Dom. Dom is not a submission guy, really. Dom is good. He's got good ground and pound at times, but he takes people down to make them have to deal with the thought of, I don't want to be put on my back. Then he uses his stand-up. And against Chito, I just looked and thought, Chito with the kick up the middle, I thought would be a little bit of a problem since Dom does that dip to the left and right, but he comes straight forward as he's doing it, and he could get caught with it. And the first round, all the judges went with Dom in that, and they did it off of volume. And I look and I go, okay, I can understand it. There was a lot of volume. Chito didn't throw that much in that. He kind of waited, and he was kind of like feeling Dom out, and Dom was, coming after him like you're saying it. But Dom got lit by that one shot, and sometimes you got to look and say, which guy would you have rather been at the end of the round? Would you have rather have been Dom Cruz and what he took, or would you have rather been Chito Vera and what he took? Because everything that Dom threw at Chito, whatever touched him, had no effect on him. Didn't slow him down, didn't hurt him, didn't in any way diminish him. Where there's no doubt that just that one shot from Chito, it diminished Dom. It hurt him. Now Dom got right back up. I'm going to hear all this, he got right back up. He got dropped. And there's only one reason you get dropped like that is your brain got rattled to the point that it can now not control your body. Now, he did get right back up, and there's another fight earlier on here, the Co-main. We're going to talk about a guy getting dropped and being out and coming back. But you can only do that so many times. The older you get, it has a toll, and it does make it to where that gas tank gets, just the energy and the gas in it gets taken out from that shot. And I give it to Dom, man. He is a true competitor, and he's been a hell of a champion, former champion. Now he is the best bantamweight that there's ever been. No doubt in my mind right now that someone, somewhere along the way may take that from him, but he's the guy. But at this point, this is the difference when you've got someone like Chito Vera. Power makes a difference in fights. Power, all it takes is one. He hit him a couple of times. Dom was put down 4 times in this fight, with the last one. I think he was put down 3 times total with shots. One was a jab, and it's like power makes a difference, and it has an effect as you go forward in the fight of what you can do. I thought Dominic was fighting a very good fight. I thought he had a good game plan as far as trying to take on Chito. It's just they're at different levels now.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance that Dom had in winning this fight was to control the top position a little bit more. We talked about it last week on the on the last show. So if you guys haven't listened to that last show, go back. And I'm just reiterating everything I said on that one. Dom, his way of winning was to wrestle, get the top position, control the top position to slow Chito down and win rounds. That's what he needed to do.
And not get hit with big shots.
And not get hit with big shots. But it had to do with Dom controlling the top position, which Dom doesn't normally do. We all know that. The history is shown with Dom. He gets a takedown. He throws 1 or 2 punches and he backs out and lets you get back up. And sometimes he mat returns you right away. He takes you right back down again to frustrate you and break you mentally. That's what he does. Dom Cruz is one of the best guys at getting in someone's head and breaking you mentally, making you realize that you're not on my level, and almost like toying with you in that cage. He'll take you down, let you up, and as you get up, he takes you right back down, lands shots, and the whole time he's just chirping at you. He's that guy. He talks
the whole time.
He talks shit to you the whole time, and in the whole time, he's just chirping and making you feel this big. He's just crushing you, and he breaks you on in mentally. He breaks you in everything you're doing. He has an answer for because he's normally the faster fighter. And then in this fight, John, to me, he was the faster fighter, but I could tell that he was loading everything up and he was throwing everything with so much heat that I was like, man, after the second round, I go, if you keep having to throw this hard every single time to get Chito to move backwards or to get Chito to respect you, by rounds 4 and 5, he's not going to have as much respect for you. And that's kind of what happened. It wasn't just I'm not just talking about just the one shot. Chito then started walking him down and just letting it go and saying, "I know I'm just going to take your shot to give you a shot." Whereas earlier in rounds 1 and 2, he was backing up, where Dom was having to chase him with 3 and 4 punch combinations just to land one, and Chito was moving away. But by the end of round 3 and into round 4, he stopped moving away. He's just started standing there, moving his head a little bit, and then throwing and not letting Dom go first.
Yeah.
I thought that Dom was going to be able to wiggle out maybe, the first 3 rounds if he was able to control the top position. But that very first submission threat in the first round, when Dom got the takedown, that made him go, okay, I don't want to hang out in there too much. He's strong with the legs. He's strong and crafty on the ground, how he sets his things up. He's like, okay, I'm not going to play here too much. And then after that, it was almost like Chito got warmed up with the takedown defense, because Dom was in on some deep takedowns in rounds 2 and 3. Yeah. And he beautiful sprawls, got the hips back, was able to kind of make him pay. I was like, ooh, this is not going to go well for Dom if he can't at least threaten takedowns and put him on his back. Because breaking a fighter is taking him down, then backing up and letting him up, going, okay, I got you. Now I'm kind of winning on the cards. That's something you got to worry about. He wasn't able to get a takedown again after that. And so I think that had a little bit of play too as well, with how Chito approached his fights. Like, he can't take me down now. I see the entrances coming. Okay, the combinations aren't hurting me anymore, and I'm going to let it all hang out. And it just so happened that he was able to catch Dom dipping the wrong way, and he forced it a little bit with that right hook. He threw the right hook and then threw the left head kick, and it landed beautifully. Yeah. Nicely done. You can't take anything away from Chito. No. I'm not going to take anything away from Dominic Cruz. The guy, like you said and I said, is that he's the best bantamweight to ever walk the face of the earth. And the sad part is this. We don't even know how good and how great he potentially could have been, because he was off for 3 years with that knee situation. He would have had another, let's say, 7 fights. Low end 6. 7 fights. 6 in those 3 years that he was off. The 3 wins against those guys. He would have been able to run through his division multiple times. None of those guys could have beaten him. Renan Barão couldn't have beaten him. TJ Dillashaw couldn't have beaten him. Uriah Faber didn't beat him. Like, these guys, they couldn't have beaten him. I don't think so. Renan Barão would have been the guy that would have made it interesting. Would have been interesting at that time, right?
Because he had power. But I don't think I think that Dom was way faster than Barão. And that would have been the difference maker. He would have had a hard time touching Dom, especially back then.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. But that's a fight that I would have liked to have seen. When Barão was on his roll, just untouchable. Yeah. And then all right, but that wasn't as shocking to me based on, because I kind of had an idea how Chito had to get the fight done. Yeah. And he did a great job. But I'm going to say this: Chito's got to be careful. He can't afford to keep just trying to scramble by at the end, waiting at the end of the round to steal it, or get or relying on his power every single time. Guys in the past, and one of my good friends, Gray Maynard, he fell in love with his power and he started waiting, and then rounds snuck by and he lost fights that way. You can't afford to do that. Chito's got to be very careful in allowing things like that to happen.
Who do you think they match him up against next?
Can you pull up that weight class? I'd like to. I mean, I know Peter Yan's already fighting Sean O'Malley, but that's the fight that I'd like to see.
I think Corey Sandhagen.
Ooh.
Corey Sandhagen and him, that should be. You've got Aljamain going against TJ, and I know you've got Peter Yan going against Sugar Sean. Yeah. But if you took that fight and you put Marlon Vera and Sandhagen, that to me, that's for the guy that gets the next shot. I mean, that'd be a great fight.
What about Merab? No, I agree with you. I think Sandhagen, to me, is a more entertaining fight.
Merab is fighting coming up here just in a couple days.
He's fighting Aldo?
Yes.
Who's he fighting?
He's fighting Aldo,
correct?
Aldo.
Yeah, he's fighting Aldo. Interesting. Then TJ's fighting for the title, and then Yan is fighting Sean O'Malley. Yeah, good. I mean, they're pretty active. This is, we've always said this, especially in this last year, is that this is the toughest weight class in the sport right now. Hands down, toughest weight class in the sport. So, I mean, tons and tons of great fights to be had in this weight class across the sport. Next fight.
All right. This was one you got to look and go, Nate the Train Landwehr from Tennessee against David Onama. What a fight. I mean, just that these guys put it on out there, big time mistakes by both of them at times, and that's sometimes is why we end up having fights the way we have them.
That's exactly why we have good fights, because they make a ton of mistakes that leads to a lot of excitement for the fans.
Yep. But there's certain things in this. Nate Landwehr, he got knocked out. He was out, going down, out, hits the ground and woke up, and that's what happens in fights. And the Mike Beltran was absolutely right for letting the fight go on, as it did. And I'm not sure if Onama at that point almost lost a little bit of his mojo in the fact of, shit, I had him out, and he's back and I'm still fighting. And I think he lost just a little bit of steam off of that. I thought that James Krause did a great job as far as, trying to get his head right and saying, telling him, hey, you're going to go back. We don't care. We don't quit. We're just going to go back and do it again. And, but Nate Landwehr, he had moments where he started showboating a little too much. He could have put himself in a position to lose that fight. It was a majority decision. One of the judges had it, 2 rounds, for Landwehr, or I think he had 2 rounds for Landwehr, and he had one with, Onama because of that big shot that he fucking put on. Landwehr had it as a 10-8. Can't blame him. It was a hell of a fight. It was fun to watch, but there were moments you could go, stop doing what you're doing. You're making mistakes here, but it was fun to watch.
John, I think Landwehr, he understands that he was put in this position to be exciting, to make it an exciting fight, and he lived his end of the bargain.
Oh, he delivered.
I know that getting the win is the most important thing, but at the end of the day, I think some fighters, they just feel the need to entertain the crowd, and that's exactly what he did. I think he knew that Onama, even though it was dangerous still in that 3rd round, he got clipped towards the end. Remember, he got clipped towards the end of that 3rd round. Almost cost him the fight had he taken another hard shot after that. But he had walked away from him several times in full side control, just stood up and walked away. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, control the fight, do ground and pound, do something, continue to break your opponent, make it exciting that way. Don't just get up and give your opponent the chance to win by being crazy on the feet.
Yeah.
So, but in all those things being said, I'm actually glad he did it.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Look, I'm actually glad he did it.
I can't sit here and say, hey, you didn't make it exciting. You did. But in those situations, look, if I'm his coaches, I'm extremely pleased with the win, and I want to kill him for what he's doing inside the cage, because you're taking a chance. Look, Onama is not that dangerous off his back, especially when he was tired there. He had no danger. He can't hurt you. And you're going to just stand up and let's get back to the stand-up fight. It's like, oh, my God, son, what are you doing? But it was fun. It was exciting. I can take nothing from him. Showed a ton of heart. And I want to give it out to Onama. Hey, you could have folded. You could have quit. You could have just, said, I've had enough. And you never did that. That's heart. That's balls. That's guts. You showed everything that you're made of. You fought a great fight. Yeah, you didn't get the win, but man, I'll tell you what, you proved to everyone exactly what is inside of you. So great job.
Those are learning experiences for guys like Onama, right? He's like, you know what? I was exhausted. I was tired, but I still got up and I fought out the 3rd round.
I kept going.
I mean, you got to look, he's going to look back at things and go, you know what? I got it in me.
Oh yeah.
Like, these are learning experiences. Like, okay, I got to maybe do a little bit more cardio. I've got to learn how to pace myself a little bit more, against fighters that I know are resilient. He found out that Landwehr was resilient, could take a shot, could work through it, and had the mentality to keep going forward. You've reffed thousands and thousands of fights, John, and you've seen fighters, their personality change when they've rocked somebody and hit them with a big shot, and that person doesn't go down and they're still there. I've seen fights change. I've seen it several times where the fight guys just right from that moment.
They're the better fighter by far. And
because they rocked him and hit him with their best shot, and they weren't able to go down. They weren't able to knock him out after knocking everybody else out with their best shot. It kills their mentality. It kills their mental. They're like, man, what am I going to do? I can't get him out of here. And they fold. They start to fold. Onama didn't do that. Onama fought a really good, hard third round. There was moments though where you could see he was kind of thinking about giving up, but then
what crossed his mind
made it easier for him. Yeah, it did.
It was there.
And then Landwehr made it easy for him. He got up
to the side.
Yeah, I was like, all right, whatever. Hey, fuck it, let's go.
It was great.
But next,
another great fight, man. It's sometimes you hit a jackpot, and the UFC matchmakers hit a jackpot. Because I was looking and say, why is this on the main card? Okay, not that nothing against either fighter, but why is this one in the main card? It just doesn't make sense. When you had people, and we talked about it, like Angela Hill, who's been there forever and done that and fights hard and going against, Lupita. I'll tell you what, someone knew something, because this fight, Yarugi against, Jasmine Lucindo, man, these two ladies delivered. They fucking went out there. They were throwing everything they had. They both got blitzed. They both did some blitzing of their own. They landed big shots. They took big shots. There was no give, no quarter taken. They stood in the middle of the cage for a lot of it and just slung it out and made for a great, entertaining fight.
John, what surprised me is that Lucindo is only 20 years old.
I know.
And I'm like, damn, you are fucking good.
Yeah.
So when I look back, right, in the sport of MMA, women's MMA right now is a little bit behind the men's MMA in terms of the technique and the experience. They didn't get the opportunity and chances to be on the big stage until later on, until what, almost over 10 years? Was it 10 years?
So,
yeah, it was over 10 years. Yeah, they didn't get it in 2006. It was when Strikeforce started. That's when women's MMA kind of got into the forefront.
Well,
I know there was women's MMA before that.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying actually was put on the stage and put into main event type situations.
Yes, because look, if you were fighting on the small shows, at King of the Cage and other smaller shows back then, as a female fighter, there was nowhere for you to look forward to going. There was nowhere. Then Strikeforce came along, and now it was like, okay, now I know I need to keep training because I have an actual show that's on TV that I can go to now, and so that there was room for them to go ahead and dedicate their life to doing this to live their dream. But that didn't come until 10 years after. So I feel like women's MMA is slightly behind men's. But this right here at 20 years old, Lucinda, watching her fight, the style in which she fought, just the speed, the combinations, the way great job. I mean, absolutely amazing. I look at where they're at right now. I look at it to like the Frank Shamrock era, but now I think they're past that Frank Shamrock era. That's what I'm saying. I had said that for the longest time. I said women's MMA was stuck in that Frank Shamrock era where the grappling and the striking and all that stuff was really good. Before it was, you're really good at one thing, maybe two things, but you weren't good at everything just yet. They're past it now. They're good wrestlers. They're good grapplers. They're good strikers. They're possessing power now. Like they are not one dimensional. They're not one and two trick ponies. They've got the full package. And this new generation that's coming up, shit, John, it's going to be for some fun fights. We've seen some great female fights. I mean, Joanna, Weili Zhang, like we've seen a lot of really good fights like that. But this next level of young, talented female fighters that are coming up, I'm excited. I'm excited because they have laid it on the line for so many times. And now they're going to be putting these type of fights in main event cards and co-main event situations. And they've got to deliver. And this fight absolutely delivered. I thought it was a great fight.
Well, it's kind of, you're talking about going back to the old times. It used to be, and the women were so focused on delivering a good fight, proving that they were fighters, that they belong, that many times on those cards, the women's fight was the best fight of the night because they both went after it. There was no, I need to play it safe here. I need to be careful. Things kind of have changed a little bit, and they've gotten more, based upon, I got to be more tactical, and I totally understand it. This fight went back to that whole thing of we need to go out and show that we belong. And man, both of them went out there and showed that they belong in the UFC. They both had great performances. And I mean, what can you say? Between that fight and the Landwehr Onama fight, I don't care what happened on the rest of the card. Those two fights were fantastic. And there was other good fights on there, but those two fights, that makes an entire card worthwhile. Yeah,
the next fight was, I don't know how you say his last name, Murzakanov versus Clark. Murzakanov, he doesn't seem like he's a big guy.
No, but he's got power.
Should be fighting, I think, at 85, but he's got power.
But yeah, the other thing he's got, and this is what, if people go back and watch that fight, I want you to watch certain things about foot placement and footwork, because that was the difference. When you see a guy being able to off angle his opponent, and how many times, because he's fighting from a southpaw and he's stepping outside of Devin Clark's foot and taking the corner on it to where Devin Clark has zero ability to be offensive against him. And Azamat is lighting him up based upon the angle that he's created and that he can't be hit, and lands the huge shot to the body, huge shot to the head. He did it time after time after time in this fight. And you look at Devin Clark, he says, you don't let him take that step. You've got to force him the opposite way. He couldn't stop it. And it was, man, I give it to Murzakanov. He is a good fighter. He's technically good. He doesn't look, that great, but he's got power in his shots. He throws beautiful combinations. And when he does, he throws them with a lot of snap. He's got a good chin, and he wrestles well. The guy's a good fighter. There's a reason he is undefeated.
If you're Devin Clark's corner, you guys got to be thinking, he needs to start being more of the hammer and less of the nail. He's allowing people that are not as big as him. He's allowing people that are probably not as good as him to push him backwards, to make him fight off of his back foot. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't care how good you are. You need to be almost a level of a Alex Bahia or who's the champ at 185?
Adesanya.
Izzy.
Adesanya.
You've got to be just as good off your back foot. Izzy can fight off of his back foot. He's fucking brilliant.
Dude, are you talking?
You've got to be that.
Think of that. Think of his knockout against Whitaker and the way he threw that off his. It wasn't even off his back foot. He was leaning backwards and stuff.
Yeah,
crazy.
You've got to be that good if you're going to fight that style. Devin Clark, you're not that good on the back foot. You need to be more of a bully. You got those tree trunk legs. You've got power. You can wrestle. Go out there and push people around. Take the center of the cage. Find a way to start fighting a little bit differently, and it's okay to circle and back away here and there to catch your breath, but get back out there and dictate the pace. You were getting pushed around by a guy who's probably supposed to be fighting 185. That should tell you something. So, good performance by him. Kuchera versus Lipsky.
Wow, fast. I was really surprised. The power was the big difference. When Lipsky got hit, you could see it ooh.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she was like, oh shit.
Kuchera she just put it on her, did what she's supposed to do. Talking about, a good fight and well fought was Mearshart against Silva. I thought Gerald Mearshart looked good in that fight, and he fought smart. And at time, he got his takedowns, but he didn't, he's always looking for the neck. You can see as he's in any situation, that dude is always looking to say, I can get your neck here. I can get your neck here. I can get your neck here. But he didn't make the mistake of going after something and getting put in a bad spot. Look, he hurt Silva, and that's how he got the choke at the end. It goes down as a submission, but it was based upon his hands. He hurt him in the stand-up, and that's, that was a big win, in my opinion, for Mearshart, because Bruno Silva is a good fighter. And Bruno Silva had a very good fight against Pahea, who's going to end up fighting Izzy now and stuff. So,
yeah,
that was
he did have a good fight against Pahea.
He did.
Yeah,
so, great win. Great win for Gerald.
John, what I learned about with Mearshart, though, if you go back and you watch some of his previous fights, I believe he fought Duran. And with that fight, if you look at his body, he looks like a different fighter right now. He looks like he is His body style seemed a little bit trimmer this time. He seemed like he's built a little bit more muscle. Maybe it's the spray tan. I don't know. Okay, but he looked a little bit more fit. And I mean, I know he was fit in the past fights, but he looks like he is constantly progressing himself as a fighter, as well as taking care of himself, health, nutrition wise. Yep. Physically, and he looked good. I have to second what you said. He looked phenomenal. I thought he looked great. Good fight by Angela Hill, and she fought Lupita. Look, I thought honestly that Lupita was going to come out and wrestle more. I mean, at least threaten the takedowns a little more, get more of that top position. I agree. Your wrestling pedigree, your ability to get takedowns, your ability to deliver top, like vicious ground and pound, heavy shots on the feet and on the ground, utilize that a little bit more. She made it a stand-up fight. And as the fight went on, Angela Hill's speed played a factor as the fight went on. She was able to touch her the kicks. Angela Hill has some really fast kicks. She's got to start throwing the kicks and then throwing the combinations after that. She really just throwing one kick. But she's taking the fight on short notice. I guess she was already kind of training for a fight before, though, is what I kind of heard. But she still came in. She fought a great fight. She fought a good fight and was just able to out-touch Lupita. It was a good fight. Lupita had a good fight as well.
She had a couple of good moments with like the flying knee attempts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep.
But I thought she won the fight. I thought it was a good fight by Angela. I thought she fought a smart fight. I did not think that Lupita fought a smart fight against someone like Angela Hill. This is like, don't play into the strength of your opponent. Why are you doing that? We know where Angela is strong, and we know where if you're gonna get a win against her, where you're probably gonna put her to get that win, and that's not the way that Lupita came out and did it, and that's why she walked away with an L.
Well, let's. I want to go back to Angela Hill and tell you guys you can't. Everyone's like, oh, she should have beat Angela Hill. Angela Hill's losses have a majority of them been like split decisions.
Oh yeah,
a lot of them she probably should have freaking won. That's how good she is. Like she really is. Her really just could be so different. It should be so different. Yeah. Some of them should be different. So don't look at what her record shows. She can fight.
Yeah.
I almost said she's a dog, and people got on me about it, saying, "Stop calling female fighters."
Nah, dogs. You're not talking about their looks. You're talking about their heart. There's a difference.
Term of endearment. It's like, they're. But she's an animal. She'll fight anybody, and she just proved that she'll fight anyone. This time she came out, she's able to get the win. Good job by her. Any other fights on this card?
Yeah, I want to say
you want. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go. You go.
Nina Nunez came out. I thought she fought a very good fight against Cynthia Khabib, and I want to talk about her not stepping away from the sport, but stepping away from being a fighter in it. She put her gloves down. She says she wants to be a mom again. Congratulations to you. You've really had a good career for someone that started doing this just to be physically fit and things like that. She's the wife of Amanda Nunez. They've got a family now. She wants more. Congratulations to her, man.
Yep.
You really went out and did a great job.
Yeah, that's something like myself, men won't understand is that hey, they want to try to have a family and put their career aside to do something like that. And she's in a position now that, Amanda is back, being the champ. And so, champ. And so, she's going to step away and enjoy being a mom and enjoy, living that lifestyle. And that's got to be a very difficult decision, John.
Because guys don't have to. It's different for guys. Guys don't have to make the same decision because it's like, let's have a kid. Great. Well, I'm not the one carrying it.
Yeah,
so
this is true.
It's a totally different thing. But congratulations to you, and best of luck with everything.
I'm gonna give a little love to my man Mowgli.
Mowgli came back off of a bad loss.
Yep,
looked good.
Good. That kid that he fought though is tough. Not just tough, but the kid's scary good. He reminds me a little bit of a young Yair Rodriguez with the flying kicks, the
very
style,
much.
And a little bit of a crossover of Stephen Thompson because of the way his stance is. But Yair Rodriguez, the speed of the spins, the speed of the flashiness, all of that stuff. The kid looks really good. He looks tough. He just got clipped, and Mowgli and him were getting after it. I mean, it was a good fight up until that moment. But congratulations to Mowgli, man. Get you back on track, get you going. Congratulations to you. Tyson Nam looked really good. Tyson Nam he's gonna be a problem.
O'Day was doing good until Tyson Nam just touched that up.
Tyson Nam touched him.
Yep.
Tyson Nam's gonna be a problem for people.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a fucking problem. He's good. I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
All right, John. Well, hey, that's gonna wrap us up on the UFC talk. Let's go right into some news. What do you got for us, Dave?
All right, so I do have a couple of fights, but what I'm thinking is, just based on time here, is we have the PFL coming up with Kayla Harrison next week, and then the UFC pay-per-view. So those two will be on the midweek show, and I think we'll carry over the 2 fight announcements, and then there's a fight report that came out as well of a rematch. So we'll carry that into the midweek show, and we'll let you guys hash it out on some comments from Dana White that came out this week. He did an interview with GQ. Talked about a bunch of stuff, but one of the things that he said was he was asked about Khabib being the GOAT in the sport, and Dana White took the position that Khabib retired too early to be considered the GOAT. Dana puts John Jones in that position, and he talked about John Jones coming back to fight heavyweight this year. There's still plenty of room for John Jones to cement that, and so want to let you guys hash that out with Dana White's comments for the last little bit of the show here.
I don't disagree with him. I'll put it right out there, and you can comment on what I say. I don't disagree with him at all. I think that he did retire too early. I think that, and here's the difference: he is undefeated. John Jones is undefeated too. All right, let's just put it out there. They have both had, and you're going to get people who said, "Yeah, but John Jones, he should have lost this one." He didn't. He didn't lose anything. Just like Khabib had fights where people said, "Oh, he should have lost." He didn't. He didn't lose anything. All right, it's time to talk about being healthy this summer, going into the fall. Get rid of that nasty smoking habit or vaping habit that you have. Breathe Fume is the thing that is going to make you a better person come the new year. Start now with Fume. Fume is this beautiful prominent that is just incredibly crafted. I'm telling you right now, I do woodwork. This thing is fantastic, and it uses essential oils to give you that same hand-to-mouth feeling that smoking or vaping is part of. It becomes a habit, and so you just naturally reach to that cigarette or that vape, which is so bad for you. Fume is the alternative that you can use that is natural. It has no effect on you at all. It is not going to put any type of smoke out in the air or vape fume out in the air. You can do this anywhere. You can do it in the car with your kids because it's not going to affect them in a bad way. You can do it while traveling. Breathe Fume is the way for you to become a healthier person in 2023. Start now in 2022. Go to Breathe Fume. Use the promo code of weighing in. So Breathe Fume is Breathe Fume with no E, FUM/weighing in. Use the promo code weighing in, and you will get 10% off of your initial purchase. There's all types of essential oils, all kinds of flavors. They're fantastic. I'm telling you right now, this is a product I believe in. I use it. Go to Breathe Fume. Start using it now. Now, I've always said that the most dominant fighter I've seen in the cage has been Khabib. He dominated great fighters in rounds, 10-8 rounds, consistently at times. John Jones is the most talented fighter that I've seen in the cage. And here's the big difference. John Jones has had, 15 title fights? How many title fights does Khabib have? 5?
3.
Okay.
3 or 4.
Yeah, see, so, and that's really, that's a huge difference. Huge difference. And I think that's what Dana is talking about when he looks at this and he goes, look, Khabib's awesome. But to be the greatest of all time, Anderson Silva had how many championship fights? Mm-hmm. John Jones had how many championship fights? Well, Khabib should have had that, that strand where he was winning title fights up to close to 10 for me to now say, yeah, you're the greatest of all time. And he didn't get there because he retired, and that's okay. But, this is something people are going to argue forever. You have your favorite fighter, whatever. I do agree with Dana. I think Dana is being honest about it. When he says, no, I think John Jones is, and I would agree with him.
I'm a homer for my boys. You know that, but I got to agree with you.
Well,
I gotta agree. I gotta agree with the fact that he did retire too early, and there's nothing against. No one's gonna say anything about him retiring too early. He did it for personal reasons,
and it was the right choice if it's for him.
Yeah, and it was the right. It was for him. It was for his family. It was for the promises he made to his mother, and you're gonna and he deserves to do whatever he wants to do. Now, I agree with you also that he is the hands down been the most dominant fighter ever to step foot in the cage. Most dominant fighter ever. Yep. Now, John Jones, like you said, to me is the most talented fighter. I don't put John Jones as the GOAT. I don't put Anderson Silva as the GOAT. I do it based off of people that have never tested positive for anything. That's how I do it. Now, look, John, if you want to have a department where you include everyone, positive test or not, John Jones is number one. Yep. I'm not going to deny that. Yep. I won't deny that. But I'm going to say the ones that never tested for anything, I'm going to put GSP.
Okay.
GSP is the GOAT.
I'm okay with that.
And that's it. Like if you want to have two separate categories, one is one that never tested positive, which I put GSP. One other one, if you want to put them all in there, I put John Jones. It seems fair. Like it's
absolutely
that's how it is. In terms of with Khabib, he is the most dominant. I think he did retire too early. I would have loved to have seen him fight a lot more. I don't believe that anyone has ever defended the lightweight title, more than 3 times. So I think this comes down to, I think Charles this is his 4th defense, correct? This is 4th? Can you look that up, Dave?
Well, he won it against Chandler. He beat Justin. He beat Dustin. And so this will be his 3rd defense, but his 4th championship fight.
Okay, so I think it's 4 title or 3 title defenses. No one's ever defended the title, I think, more than 3 times.
Wait,
in
so
the lightweight division,
he won it with Chandler. He won it with
Chandler,
yeah,
but
so he's got 2 wins.
Defended it twice. So I don't think anyone. Khabib's defended it 3 times, and I think that was the no one outside of the lightweight division has ever defended it more than 3 times. So if but here's the thing, in that division, right? You got BJ Penn, you got Khabib. Those are the 2 top guys, I think, ever in the lightweight division. I think I would hold them probably in there. Those are the 2 best guys in the lightweight division that have defended it 3 times. Frankie's up in that mix too. And then who was the other? Jens Pulver was up in that mix. So you've got those, but I would say it'd be between BJ and Khabib right now. Charles Oliveira may very well pass him.
Oh yeah.
He may be able to get a win over Islam. And then you'll have to defend it one more time to beat the 3 times defending it. But I mean, he's got his hands full with Islam. Islam's going to be a tough fight for him, but it's going to be a good fight.
Yep.
I as much as people want to talk about, I'm a homer for my guys. I'm an extreme big homer for Islam because I train with him a lot. Him and Khabib were like my 2 main training partners when I was there.
And hold on, I want to say that's part of what gives you your belief when you have. When you have felt what they do and you understand how good they are and things, and you try to do things in training and nothing works against that guy.
Yeah.
It puts it in your head, dude, you have no idea how good this guy is, and I understand why you say it, but he's got a tough fight.
He does. No, Charles has a very tough fight and Islam has an extremely tough fight. This is not going to be an easy fight for both of them.
No.
It won't be easy. This fight will be on the ground.
It's a scary fight for both.
Come down. Yeah, it is, because Islam is used to doing things in a certain way, and he's going to have to change up some of those things to avoid getting caught in a guillotine. You go back to watch the Drew Dober fight. I mean, was it Drew Dober?
No.
With the guillotine? No, it was Chris Wade. God damn. I had it in my mind. With Chris Wade, the arm, the guillotine on that, he was able to get the sweep and reverse and get to the top position, but Islam was he got careless. And you can't afford to get careless against someone like Charles on the ground in that type of situation. You may have been able to get away with it with Chris Wade. You're not getting away with that with Charles Oliveira. Now, in terms of the top positioning, grappling, all those things, I'm gonna give the pressure and the control and all that to Islam. But I want to see. Look, and this will solidify, I believe, if Charles Oliveira gets past Islam, he defends it one more time. We won't be having a conversation anymore on who the best lightweight in the world is. It'll be him.
Yeah.
So it's, because no one has gotten past defending that title 3 times, not in the lightweight division. So, and I think it's fair to say that if Charles can do that, then the conversation will be over, and there's no more conversation to be had about it.
But we need conversation because that's what we do.
Yeah, we do. But then in terms of the GOAT, No. And John, I said this earlier in the show. I'm tired of people throwing around the word GOAT. Like, stop. Like, it's going to change. Yeah. It's going to change later on. It may take a while for it to catch up to the John Jones conversation because, like you said, John technically shouldn't have ever lost that fight or whatever it was. There's that. And then on top of it, he's defended his title 14, 15 times. And if he goes up and wins a title at heavyweight, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a real hard time saying that he's not the best fighter to ever do it.
That's right.
So what else? You got something else for us?
That's going to wrap us up.
All right, well, hey, go to WeighingInPodcast.com. Pick up some of our merch. We got a new shirt out. We also got the 5-round main event out, but the new shirt is called what? What is it called?
10 9s and 10 8s, baby.
Yeah.
That's I'm all I'm doing is handing out 10-8 rounds.
With
buddy.
the big I always win. I always win on his shirt.
I love it. This is awesome. I gotta give me one of these shirts. I always win. I've noticed John has got a goatee and I've got dyed hair, so this must be a throwback.
Definitely from the past.
When we were young. Yeah, because John has big arms there.
Yeah, definitely from the past. Definitely from the past.
Who did the design on this?
So the same guy did the 5-round main event. So it's a Rebellion artwork, nice. Rebel Lion artwork,
or Rebellion. That's nice. That's a good little play on words.
It is. I like that.
Yep.
So if you guys like these shirts, you guys like our 5-round main event Street Fighter type show that we're due on our Eclipse channel, why don't you guys check them out? Rebellion Artwork. Give them a little follow on Instagram and hit them up, man. Let them know we thank them. You guys thank them for the 5-round artwork and also this new shirt that's out. So go to Weighing In Podcast, pick up some of our merch. I want to thank you guys for continuing to support us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. And once again, John, I was right. So people in the comments.
People in the comments are going to start eating you up again. But that's okay because I don't look at the comments. It's all right.
They get so mad that I'm right, John. I'm right. I want them to admit it. I'm going to go back through last week's show and all the comments said, you're so stupid. Dom's going to do that.
I'm going to do this. I will look at the comments off of this show. So if you guys want to leave a comment. I'll read them and I'll see what you say about Josh. And if there's something about me, I'll read it.
You will not read them. Miss McCarthy will read them.
Well, that's how I normally get it. If there's something, she's the one that reads the stuff.
She will screenshot it and send it to you. All right, go ahead, John. Take us away.
For everyone out there, I hope you had as much fun watching some fantastic fights. The UFC had some incredible fights. Those last 3 were outstanding, especially the co-main and the one before. Unbelievable. Great job by Mr. Goichi Yamauchi in the finals of the Bellator. So everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed the show. Have fun. Be good to someone. Do something kind just because you can. And we will see you.